Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Okay, I wimped out today. I've been outside all day working and it's hot. It's just blazing hot, and I decided to do the video inside where there's an air conditioning going. You can probably hear the humming in the background. Sorry, I'm only human. I can only take so much. And I thought, you know what? It's so hot and blistering heat right now, and I could just go in there in the air conditioning and do a video. It's not super cold in here, but it's definitely cooler than outside. So if you hate me for that, I don't know what to tell you. Today we've got some things going on. There was something that came out in the news today that maybe it's one of those things that I'm jumping the gun on. Maybe I'm taking too serious, but I think that it's important. I think that it's something that I've been talking about occasionally here on this channel, when I have said several times that we are already involved in World War III. And I know that many of you probably feel the same way. It's been a Cold War for a while, and it's hot. It's a hot war now. Right now it's a proxy war. Even some of our own elected officials have called it that, as a proxy war. But today it was released that the Pope did an interview with the Jesuit magazine, and in that interview he said, in fact, we are in World War III. He said there's wars all over the world, and we are in fact in World War III. Not we as America, but we as the world. We are seeing World War III, and this is something that it does play a major factor in a lot of the stuff that's going on. We're seeing global powers rise up against each other, and it's not so much left-right paradigm. Don't really think of it that way, because we get clouded by that, because that's what we always see here in the United States. It's really not that. It's a fight for who's going to rule the new world order. That's what I believe. And it means that there's not really a good guy involved in this fight. And so that's what we're seeing with the West, European Union, United States, Australia, for the most part, versus China and Russia and all of their counterparts. And the Pope has pretty much confirmed that's true. Along with this, Nicaragua, which for those of you that don't know, that's down in Latin America. In fact, it's only about 1,000 miles from Miami. They have given the okay for Russia to place troops inside their borders. Almost has the feeling of a Red Dawn being set up before us. I think that there's definitely more. I've said before that, are we going to go to war with Russia, an actual full-on confrontational, us, Russia, and probably China, and maybe a few other places? I think eventually, yes. Is that going to happen right away? Probably not. But I think that we're watching things kind of set themselves up. In other news, Joe Biden, that poor guy gets a bad rap by a lot of people. I mean, he says he's going to do things, and then people say that he's not doing what he says he's going to do. People claim that he lies and tells things that just aren't correct. And you know what? I kind of feel that maybe he's just given too hard of a time, because when Joe Biden says he's going to fix this immigration problem, he's going to fix it. And we're seeing people leave California. This article here talks about how the economy has gotten so bad, especially in California, because as bad as it is wherever you're at, trust me, it's worse in California. Gas prices, cost of living, taxes, everything. It's however high it is where you're at, I assure you it's more expensive in California. And people are leaving California and going back to Mexico. Probably even some Americans are going to Mexico. And as far as I'm concerned, it's probably some of those liberal ones anyways. And so might as well just let them go back. And see, everyone's complaining that Joe Biden's not really fixing this immigration problem. And they're complaining about the economy. And see, the man is so smart, he figures, let's just crash the economy and the dollar, and guess what? All these people will start going back to Mexico, because they'll realize that it's actually more prosperous for them in Mexico. Along with that, I know it's kind of joking, but there's definitely some truth to it. I was listening to a Glenn Beck podcast, and he was talking about how, of course, again, Joe Biden is bragging about America being the strongest economy. We're in the strongest economy on the planet, when in fact we're actually number 50th this year on economic growth among nations. Countries like Ethiopia and Libya and Saudi Arabia and most of Europe and several other countries, including Russia, is showing more economic growth than the United States. In fact, the vast majority of the world's currencies are on a downward turn, except the ruble, the Russian ruble. So, you know, he's not exactly wrong. I mean, we're the strongest of if you remove those top 50 countries that have the strongest economies right now, then you could easily say that we are the strongest country economically right now. There's been another food plant fire. I mean, you know, how do you, you know, it's just another food plant fire. It's not a big deal. It's just a conspiracy. You know, they haven't really been increasing that much in the last 6 months. I mean, this chart only shows a pretty much upward movement of the, you know, food plants that are catching fire, but it's not that big of a deal, and it's just a conspiracy to think that there's something going on. My wife asked me last night, we were talking, and she said, in your opinion, what is it going to take to turn this country around? And I think probably what my answer is going to be, it may ruffle some of your feathers. I may not, it sounds pessimistic. Honestly, I don't think that there is anything. I think that the only answer that would be true, in my opinion, is that the country does have to come down to a crashing halt. I don't think politically it's going to happen. I don't think that the right person getting elected into office, regardless of who that is really going to change anything. Look at this map here of the United States. The red areas versus the orange areas. And what this map is showing is how much of the red area and population needs to equate the areas in the orange or yellow, something like that. And basically what it shows is that the east and the west coast, which are very much liberal, not 100%, I get it, but very strongly liberal, you would need almost the entire middle part of the United States to equate that. And with the amount of illegals coming into the country, with the younger populations growing up and becoming more liberal than their parents or grandparents, and the elderly population dying off, which in greater numbers, which is predominantly the more conservative, I don't think politically it's going to happen. I was actually watching a news report a few nights ago, and it was a news reporter on the southern border, and he said in the time that he was there, about 600 people crossed, and he was asking people as they come across the border where they were from. And I didn't hardly hear any of them say Mexico. Most of them were Latin American, South American countries. There was Middle Eastern countries, several people from Russia, Ukraine, crossing the border illegally. So it's not just from one particular country. They're coming in from all over the world. And even if they might be a little bit conservative, most of these countries they're coming from are fairly socialistic countries. And so that's the only thing that they understand. And it will most likely, vote that way when allowed to vote. And well, they're really pushing for that to give them the power to vote in a lot of these areas. So politically, I don't know that there's anything saving this country. An all-out revolution might happen, might be successful, but I don't think that that's going to happen, because I think that the vast majority of Americans, both left and right, are too comfortable. They're too overweight. They're too weak. We live in a very weak country. The people in this country are very weak, and so I don't think that that's going to happen. I could be wrong, but I also know what I've read in the Bible, and it tends to make me believe that we're just going to see a bigger and bigger global order continue to take over everything, and I think that's where we're headed. And folks, That's why I push the lifestyle that I push, the self-sufficiency, the prepping, the building communities and the networks of those communities, because I could be wrong, and hopefully I am. I mean, could we reverse this ship and take our nation back to what it once was? It's possible, and if that happens, that's great. But it's also very likely that we'll just continue heading down the path that we're on. I think we're kind of past that Rubicon, that point of no return. And that's why we need to be preparing. That's why we need to be building communities and building our own personal strengths and our family strengths, both physically, mentally, and spiritually. Because I think we have a pretty rough road ahead of us in all of those aspects. The economy is looking worse and worse. I think more and more people are starting to wake up and realize that we're in a really bad situation. And 1970s recession would be a blessing if that's what we had. And I think it's going to be a lot worse. So folks, continue to prepare, continue to get everything in order. Because I think it's happening. I think the thing that many of us have talked about for the last decade or two, I think it's happening right before our eyes. Get ready, folks. Get your houses in order. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.